This podcast contains paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap podcast, where I discuss how you can grow your business by the bootstraps. This applies to everyone with an entrepreneurial spirit. That includes bootstrappers just starting out, established business owners, and business leaders. My goal is to help you grow both personally and professionally. I'm your host, Isaiah O'Connor. Okay, so today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. What is Audible? It's primarily an audiobook platform. It has thousands and thousands of titles, but it's not just audiobooks. They have guided wellness programs, theatrical performances, comedy, and exclusive Audible originals that you won't find anywhere else, including some in the style of the old school radio programs with people doing acting parts with sound effects, which I really enjoyed because I grew up listening to such a broadcast on the local radio station I grew up with. So that's always pretty cool. But of course, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a person who's into business. And if you're a business person, then Audible is just the thing for you because it's really a great way to get a lot of good information, get a lot of good books about business, about leadership, about life. It's just a great way to get a lot of extra data because it gives you more time in your day to consume books. Now, I have 2 kids. I run a business. I'm doing a podcast. I'm way behind in writing my blog. Life gets crazy, but with Audible, when I have downtime, when I'm cleaning the kitchen, when I'm driving to a gig, etc., I can always listen to audio. So I listen to podcasts and my books on Audible. Really love Audible. It's a great program. Not only do you get to keep any of the books you buy, if you sign up for their Premium Plus plan, which is $14.95 a month, you get 1 credit per month, and that credit's good for 1 book, and you can save up those credits for a year, or use them right away, like I tend to do. And any books you get, you keep forever. You can listen across devices. You don't lose your spot. So if you set it up and you're listening on, say, your computer, and you close it down, you pick it up on your phone, and you pick up right where you left off. It's great. It goes across devices. You can speed up the recording, slow it down if the person speaks too quick. It's really, really useful. Great way to listen to books. I love it. I have, between my wife's account and my account, well over 100 books. It's really, really an amazing program. I've been using them for years, which is why when I started the podcast, they were the very first program I thought of signing up for. So that's audible.com. And of course, this helps out. So you go to audible.com/bootstrap with a capital B. That's audible.com/bootstrap. And that will help us out. Now go check them out. And the book I recommend today is The 21 Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. It's a great book on leadership. Goes through, like the title says, 21 different laws of leadership. Matter of fact, I'm going to be reviewing this in the near future. I'm going to be re-listening to it again. It's been a while. But one of the laws is the law of the lid, for example. And the law is this: your ability to lead determines your effectiveness, the height of your success, the limit of your vision, and the impact of your influence. To overcome the law of the lid, you have to increase the ability to lead. In other words, you're only going to be as successful as your ability to lead. So the better you are in leadership, the better your ability to lead, the more successful you can be. And that's one of the laws in the 21 Laws of Books. That's just a quick summary. I actually looked up a summary, was reading through it. Now, I use this book, and I do recommend it. It's a great book. I gotta go listen to it again because I'll be a better leader. and again, in my personal life, not just my business life as well. But the reason I chose this book, it's because this is leading right into today's subject. And today's subject is what is leadership. Matter of fact, it's the start of my leadership series. And the first part of the series is what is leadership. Now, John Maxwell, the reason I went and got this book, if you've never heard of John Maxwell before, he's a leadership guy, he's a business guy. And I was listening to an interview with him on another business podcast called Entree Leadership. Another great podcast, by the way. Highly recommended. But listen to this guy, and I don't remember pretty much most of the interview. I don't remember it. But one thing stuck in my head to this day. And that is, after the podcast was over, and they were done with the interview, he was talking to the guy, the interviewer, John Maxwell. And John Maxwell said, and they just added this in because they were still recording, but it was officially over. John Maxwell said, "Hey, man, I hear your daughter's sick and in the hospital." He's like, "Yeah, she's got cancer." He's like, "Okay, you know what? If your daughter's sick, can I pray for your daughter?" He's like, "Yeah." And so John Maxwell took the time to immediately pray for the interviewer's daughter. And he was a very humble guy. Now, no, not all of you are Christians and not all of you believe in prayer. And that's beside the point. I am a Christian. You probably figured that out if you listened for a long time. But the main point was this. Here's a guy who's being interviewed because he's a great leader. He's written lots of books on leadership. He's a powerful leader, leadership trainer, leadership guy. And yet he was humble enough to stop and instead of just answer questions and act like this guy who's above it all, decided to lower himself down and pray for the guy who was interviewing him. And with a real concern and real empathy for this guy whose daughter was in the hospital and sick. This is an amazing leader. This type of humility, while still being wise and being able to lead, is one of the traits of, I think, a level 5 great leader. Now, I've been talking about leadership a lot. I've talked about level 5 leaders from good to great. And being in business, even if you're in business by yourself, being a leader comes with it. And the better a leader you are, the better you'll be at business. And hopefully, even if you're in business just by yourself at the moment, you will be able to eventually hire employees and have people you will be leading. And you'll have a team to help you grow. And you really do need a team to help you grow. You can't do it all yourself. A couple of years ago, when my business was really, really growing, before my main client was lost, I was actually able to bring on a part-time on-call employee for some time and lead him and train him and help him grow in the short time I had with him. And he was an amazing guy, really great guy. And I'm thankful that I was blessed to have him working for me and help challenge me as a leader. And the point being, the reason I brought him in is I could do more than I could by myself. You see, eventually when you're in business, even if you're just a small one-man operation, to start, you'll eventually need help. If nothing else, to have a day off, to take a vacation. When you don't have any employees, I saw this with my dad. My dad ran his own janitorial service for years. He had no employees. He never got a vacation. He never got a day off. And he never got a sick day. If he was sick, he had to go out and work anyway. And he was a hard worker and left a big impact on me seeing him work himself nearly to death that way. But now that I'm, in a way, following in his footsteps, running my own business, I've realized that I can't work all the time and do everything. And I'm going to need to have an employee, someone that I can train up and trust so that I can take a vacation, have a day off. So that's just one little side note, and I'll probably go into a deeper one on there, which is eventually, if you're in business, you will be a leader, one way, shape, or form. And this is a very important thing. Being a leader is important. If you want to grow as a businessman, you got to grow as a leader. It just seems to go hand in hand. Now, when I've started my journey on this business, I never thought about leadership all that much. It wasn't something that was something I was thinking about, because even though I've had lots of leadership training, I've taken leadership courses, I've been in leadership, I was starting off for myself, by myself, as just a guy baking balloons for some kids. But as I struggled to understand business, as I struggled to figure out how to market and how to make a profit and get customers and all that good stuff, I started looking at books on business. And when you start looking at books on business, you come across books on leadership. And I started listening to the books on business and the books on leadership. And granted, I probably need to read more books on leadership, because I've read a lot more books on business than I have leadership. But it has become a very important thing. And the more I grow in business, the more I grow in the podcast, the more I grow as a person, the more I realize the more I need to grow as a leader as well. Now, I think it was Simon Sinek, I'm not completely sure, who said, how do you know you're a leader? You know you're a leader if you look behind you and people are following you. Then by definition, you're a leader. If you look behind you and you think you're a leader and no one's following you, then you're not a leader. Now, what's my point in this? There are some people that will do what you say because they have to. But the second they don't have to do what you say, they're not going to be around. You're not going to see them again. They will vanish quickly. And that's the mark of a true leader. A true leader will have people following them and doing what you want, and helping you out because they believe in you, they believe in the mission, and they believe you're the person that can take them to where they want to go. That's leadership. And it reminds me of a meme. Great meme. And it's a picture, kind of like an ancient Egyptian type of thing. And it says boss. And it shows like these slave guys, and they're pulling like a big rock or something to build a pyramid with. And he's sitting behind a desk, and he's pointing at the guys, yelling at them. And it says boss. Then it says leader. And the leader's down there. He's not on the desk. He's in front of all the other guys, and he's pulling with them while pointing out the way. That's a leader. And that's a very big thing, because I've had a lot of bosses. I had one boss who consistently complained about the help, always was talking about how good help is hard to get, was always throwing in our faces that, well, there's lots of people needing work, so if you don't want to work here, I'll always be able to just find someone else. You're replaceable. And yeah, he was a boss, but he was not a leader. He had no loyalty from people, and he would boss people around. You will do what I say. And it doesn't matter what I want you to do. If you're working for me, if I tell you to do something gross and disgusting, you will do it because I told you to, and I pay your paychecks. That's a boss, not a leader. Well, he was in a leadership position, sure, but he wasn't a good leader. Matter of fact, everybody quit on the same day on this guy. Everyone walked off the job and never came back, all at once. And that's what I mean by a leader and a boss. A boss can get people to do things what they want, but once they hit a certain point, no one's going to follow them, and they won't care. They will walk away and never come back. Now, in this series, I'm going to start digging into different qualities of leadership, pitfalls of leadership, traps of leadership, risks and strengths, and just a lot in leadership, including how to hire people, firing people, all this stuff that fills books and books and books on leadership. Now, I'm going to do my best to talk about leadership, my viewpoints on leadership, how to be a good leader, the type of leaders I've seen and admired, the types of leaders that have made an impact in history, the type of leaders that have made an impact in my life, and what I think a good leader is and how to become that leader for the people that you work with in your business, whether you're starting up a business, you own a business, run a business, or you're a manager and a leader in a business. Doesn't matter. We all can be better leaders and keep growing. And that's so important in business. So we're going to go through that. But today I'm going to, again, focus back on that. What's a boss versus a leader? And we've all had those bosses, bad bosses. And I've had multiple bad bosses. We all have. And the problem is, I think the best way I can think of it is a boss is more or less a title or kind of a positional leadership, i.e., you're the boss because you are the manager. You manage to get promoted to manager, you're the assistant manager, what have you, and you're just the boss. And people have to listen to you because you're the boss. Whether you like it or not, you're the boss. And it's just a kind of a position. Not really a true leader. And we all know what these bosses are like. I've talked about them before. And they're no fun to be with. And you feel no loyalty to them, if not anger and even hatred for these guys. I mean, it can be very bad. And one guy I worked for, he was the general manager of the place I was working at. And this was a big place, multiple departments over 2 giant buildings, huge place. And when he got fired, the employees were calling each other across the different properties and saying, "Hey, did you hear the good news? He's fired. He's gone." When your departure from a company leads to all the employees celebrating your departure, you've been a boss and not a leader and not a great boss at that. That's pretty bad. When everyone is celebrating you leaving because you were such a horrible, horrible boss. On the flip side, a good leader, you never forget a good leader. You're loyal to that good leader, and no matter what, you're going to listen to them. When they correct you, you don't take it personal. It's a totally different feel with a good leader, even if they're in a boss type position. Now, I had a guy who was the supervisor over us, and where we were working, it was a weird management structure. They had basically what they called shift leads, which was kind of like a supervisor level, shift supervisor level position. Then they had a supervisor who was like the manager position, and then they had another manager over them that was like over the whole department, and then a couple other departments, and then they had a couple layers of managers up. But we had this one supervisor that was great, and he put together a great team that was super effective and really, really worked well together. And he had a lot of challenges, and he was the first guy to put me into position leadership and really trusted in me and helped develop me as a leader. And matter of fact, Jason St. Clair also worked for this guy, a guy named Chris Schaefer, great guy. And me and Jason would not be the men we are today. I'm saying at least for me. I'm not sure about Jason. Maybe he would, because he's just crazy in that way, in a good way. But he's the one who put me and Jason into leadership. He's the one who helped us grow as leaders and start developing our leadership skills and grow when we were young men. and he's made an impact on my life for the rest of my life. And when eventually they laid him off because they thought his position was redundant, it wasn't long after that most of the people that were in his team also left the company because they were loyal to him, not so much to the company. So that's a great leader. That's the type of leader that you want to have in your life. And I've had quite a few of those. I've been blessed with a lot of great leaders as well. But again, I think I've kind of belaboring the point a little bit. And we all know what the difference is between a title that makes you a boss and a leader. And what I'm encouraging you, even if you're in a boss position, even if you're the guy hiring people, even if you're the guy signing the paycheck, and you are the boss, you are technically the boss. Look at your position as a position of, I'm a leader. I want these guys to want to be loyal to me, trust me, and be willing to follow me into battle, into the future, into where I'm taking these guys. I want people to be on my team and really, really trust me. And if you can do that and your team trusts you and they're following you because they like the direction you're taking them and they like the way you handle things, even if you can be rough and gruff, even if you're intense, which can happen as leader, if the team trusts you, you'll have amazing results because your team will provide amazing results because they trust you as a leader. And if they see you getting in the dirt, if they see you pulling your fair share, if they see you working really, really hard, they'll also want to work very hard. And for me, I think that's one of the greatest marks of a great leader. Great leaders lead by example. They're willing to work really hard. They're willing to do the dirty work. They're willing to do even menial tasks as long as it helps move things forward. Those are the best, most amazing leaders I have seen. And people will follow and come aboard, and they will follow that type of leader. And there's always room for growth. You can keep getting better and better and better. But anyway, I could ramble on for a lot. There's so many aspects of leadership. And I'm going to be doing this series interspersed with my series on what holds you back, because I want to kind of do a balance. I don't want to be just about the negative stuff that holds you back. I want to talk about some of the positive stuff about leadership, about how to be a great leader. And this is more of a positive. So something a little bit more of a negative feel, and then balance out with some more of a positive feel. So I'm going to try to do that in the upcoming ones where I'm going to be bouncing back between leadership and what holds you back. Anyway, y'all have a great night, great day. Talk to y'all later. See ya. Bye-bye. If you found value in this content, please leave a comment and give us a 5-star rating on whichever podcast platform you use. We're on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and most other podcast platforms. If you would like to support us, you can check out our sponsor links, or if you'd like to support us directly, you can donate or join our membership program at buymeacoffee.com/bootstrap. Of course, it really helps when you share these podcasts with your friends as well. If you'd like to interact with me and other bootstrappers and leaders, you can join us over at our O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast Facebook group. You have been listening to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, an Atheoz Business Solutions podcast. For a companion podcast, the Atheoz Business Podcast, which is hosted by Jason St. Clair, past episodes and related blogs, please check out our website at www.atheoz.com, which is at www.atheoz.com or theoz.com. Until next time, I have been your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor.